Hello, I'm glad to see you again in the VNA News Bulletin. I'm Ngọc from Hanoi, and now the headlines.
Public-private partnership eases pressure on state budget. Tests on seafood in central provinces to be announced in early September. Government approves plan to reduce cash use.
An international scientific seminar on Vietnam-India ties took place in Hanoi on August 25th to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Independence Day of India and the upcoming visit by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Nearly 250 scholars and policymakers from the two countries mulled over the prospects of Vietnam-India ties, India's diplomatic policy and its impacts on bilateral ties, the Look East and Act East policy. Reports to the event highlighted bilateral cooperation achievements since the establishment of their strategic partnership in 2007. Two-way trade between Vietnam and India rose fivefold to over $5 billion in 2015 from $1 billion in 2007. The flow of travelers between them surged sixfold to 120,000 from 20,000 during the period. Indian investment in Vietnam rose from nearly $200 million to $570 million. The seminar also gave scholars an opportunity to analyze the impacts of new developments in the world situation on Vietnam-India ties, as well as the influence of the shift in India's policy from looking east to acting east on the country's ties with Vietnam and the ASEAN.
A seminar on increasing public-private partnership took place in Hanoi on August 25th, attracting representatives from ministries, agencies, and 100 business people.
Deputy Minister of Industry and Trade and Chairwoman of the Vietnam Association of Women Entrepreneurs Hồ Thị Kim Thoa said public-private partnership does not only strengthen resources but also eases pressure on paying for the government's public services. She also spoke highly of the women entrepreneurs' role in small and medium-sized enterprises, which currently account for 96% of the total. Several law experts shared lessons learned from the US, Zambia, and India, success stories in attracting small and medium-sized enterprises owned by women. The seminar was co-hosted by the U.S. Agency for International Development's State Governance for Comprehensive Growth, the Ministry of Industry and Trade, and the Vietnam Association of Women Entrepreneurs.
The Food Safety Department under the Ministry of Health said the results of tests on seafood caught in the 4 central coastal provinces affected by the mass fish deaths in April will be announced in early September. Experts have been conducting tests on fish samples taken daily from seaports and aquaculture ponds in the 4 central provinces of Hà Tĩnh, Quảng Bình, Quảng Trị, and Thừa Thiên Huế. According to the department, the ratio of contamination among samples have reduced over time. In July, 7 out of 27 fish samples, equivalent to 25.7%, were found to contain heavy metals. But the rate dropped to 1 out of 18, about 5.5% on August 19th, 3 days before the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment announced the seawater in the region was safe for swimming and aquaculture. In late June, Formosa Hà Tĩnh accepted responsibility for the mass fish deaths. The company pledged to compensate over 11.5 trillion dong, equivalent to $500 million, which will be used to support local fishermen in changing their jobs and recover the polluted maritime environment. The August Consumer Price Index in the southern largest economic hub of Ho Chi Minh City dropped 0.2% from the previous month, but rose 1.78% over the same period last year. The City Statistics Office reported in August decreases were seen in prices of 3 goods groups, leading by transportation with a 2.4% month-on-month reduction due to the falling fuel price. post and telecommunication process fell a slight 0.07%, while food and catering service prices declined 0.19%. Meanwhile, an upturn was seen in the remaining groups, with prices of goods and other services rising 0.22%, culture and entertainment 0.2%, and housing, water, power, fuel, and construction materials 0.18%. Drop was also recorded in prices of education with 0.18%, garments, hats and footwear 0.01%, home equipment and appliances 0.09%, and beverage and cigarette 0.01%. The prices of pharmaceuticals and healthcare services stayed stable during August. The same month, the US dollar's price was down 0.04%, while gold price rose 2.23% month-on-month.
2 tons of Hưng Yên longan had just been transported to Ho Chi Minh City for irradiation before being shipped to the US. More in the following report.
The Viet Gap Mat longan was grown in nearly 20 hectares in Huai Châu district and Hưng Yên City of northern Hưng Yên province. Hưng Yên has 3,000 hectares of longan trees, yielding 35,000 to 40,000 tons per year, mostly in Huai Châu, Hưng Yên City, and Kim Dong district. As many as 175 households owning 20 hectares of longan trees have been granted the codes to export their products to the U.S. They are required to strictly follow Vietnamese good agricultural practice Viet Gap standards, like using only permitted biopesticides. The U.S. Department of Agriculture approved the import of fresh lychee and longan from Vietnam in 2013. The fruits will be subject to a system that includes treatment and inspection requirements and restrictions on distribution. As a precondition for entry, the fruits must be grown in orchards registered with and monitored by the National Plant Protection Organization of Vietnam to ensure they are disease-free. Vietnam hopes to export 600 tons of lychee and 1,200 tons of longan to the U.S. every year.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has suggested developing shrimp as a national strategic product, as it can contribute to agricultural growth in the remaining months of this year. The ministry said the shrimp sector needs to build a strong brand in the global market, as this product has a large consumption market. In the context of climate change, Vietnam can turn challenges into advantages. The Mekong Delta needs to convert some rice growing areas into seafood breeding due to rising sea levels and increasing salinity. There is potential for shrimp products to develop under the seafood restructuring strategy. Shrimp exports are likely to surpass $3 billion by the end of this year. Vietnam exports shrimp to 75 markets, raking in $1.4 billion in the first 6 months of this year, up nearly 5% against the same period last year. The government has approved an e-commerce development plan for 2016 to 2020 that targets 50% of consumers switching from cash to other forms of payment.
The target has been set after factoring the rapid increase in online shopping and electronic banking. However, the plan acknowledges the need to significantly improve network security to convince residents to switch from cash. The government has set targets of 30% of the population shopping online and spending $350 a year each, and business-to-customer e-commerce turnover increasing 20% to $10 billion, or 5% of the country's total retail and services turnover. Besides, all supermarkets, shopping malls, and convenience stores will accept credit cards. Around 70% of telecom, electricity, and water service providers will accept online payments from customers. Importantly, 50% of customers in big cities will use non-cash payment services. The government also expects 100% of public services and bidding to be online, with the contract implementation process published in the National Bidding website. The e-commerce index report showed that last year 27% of smartphone users shopped using their phones and mostly paid through bank accounts, while 45% of smartphone users searched for shopping information more than once a day. Vietnam is now among the top 5 fastest-growing smartphone markets and one in which mobile payment technologies are developing rapidly. A significant growth in the card market also represents a growing non-cash payment trend. So far, 45 banks have launched SMS banking and internet banking, and 25 others have launched mobile banking. According to statistics from the Vietnam Banking Card Association, 82 million cards have been issued by the end of 2015, 90% of them ATM cards. Along with the number of cards, the value of payments made using them has also increased sharply. The Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism will back regular drama, chamber music and traditional opera shows at the Hanoi Opera House beginning at the end of August. The move is expected to provide domestic and international audiences with high-quality folk art performances right in downtown Hanoi.
The Opera House was completed by the French in 1911 with the aim of bringing classical performing arts to both well-to-do Vietnamese and French people. Nowadays, meetings, events and musical performances take place at the venue every day, but rarely seen are folk art performances. This lack of fine shows has been causing public complaints for a while now. In fact, most local theatre companies cannot afford the rental fee, which is equivalent to $2,025 to $2,250 per night at the Opera House, as traditional art forms rarely have a sell-out performance. Soon, for many traditional drama artists who once would not have dared to dream of performing a show on the prestigious stage, a status quo was about to change.
The Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism will subsidize 12 theatres to organize regular shows at the Opera House. We warmly welcome this decision.
Thanks to the subsidization, 12 theatre companies managed by the ministry are ramping up preparations for 18 concerts scheduled for the last 4 months of 2016 and 100 shows for 2017.
We are readying ourselves for the big day with 5 programs that will stage renowned drama and award-winning traditional music performances.
Starting in September, the Vietnam Drama Theatre Company, the Vietnam Symphony Orchestra and the Vietnam Chiao Traditional Opera Theatre Company will take turns performing at the Opera House. By 2017, high-quality performances are set to take place there every weekend.
Running plays for domestic and foreign audiences is what we always look for. I hope one day we can access the golden venue not only at the weekend, but also on weekdays.
This opportunity for artists is also a chance for art lovers to enjoy polished performances in the capital city.
And that has wrapped up our news bulletin. Thanks for watching and see you next time.